Yeah, all right. So something I forgot to bring up in last week's Stacked Cast was
Hmm.
Furiosa.
Oh, you saw fucking Furiosa and you didn't
Yeah,
mention it? That's
yeah.
crazy.
Because a lot happened and there was a lot to cover and brain fog. Saw Furiosa last week and it was fucking good, man. Um, it's probably not the kind of thing that I think it's out of theaters now, right? And the entire and like you can't.
Out of theaters now.
I think that it's had its run, and I think it might be or so. It depends on where the what cinema, I suppose. But either way, you can't bring up Furiosa without immediately going into the discussion about how theaters are dying and the box office difference between you know the biggest hits of like the previous years going into this one. Um,
I
and
think
Barbenheimer was the last swan song of the cinema. Dune 2 was was all right, but like Furiosa is like and I think the other one was the Fall Guy, where it's like here's two
mhm.
movies that were like acclaimed and getting good reviews and people word of mouth is spreading, but just uh, folks are pretty comfortable at home. Red Letter Media did a video on it, and folks are just pretty comfortable at home. Like it's not just about like okay, COVID got us used to like or COVID was like people were saying I don't want to go to the theaters and risk getting sick, but now you're just like I'm also comfortable with my TV at home. So if I can wait for something to hit streaming in a short period of time, then why not do that?
So like it's so, there's so many complicated things because like I think that the well people got used to watching it at home is like really reductive, but it's more that like but because there's the second part of that, right? People did get used to watching it at home,
Mm-hmm,
right? That
mm-hmm.
watching movies at home, but like during the pandemic, if you realized you wanted to watch movies all the time and you were a movie snob, you probably got like a pretty nice TV during that period to watch your movies at home,
Certainly could have,
which you
yeah.
still have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
But on top of that, pre-pandemic, you were like, you know, I don't know, if like $30 is worth it for me and
Exactly.
Paige to go see Sonic the Hedgehog, but like yeah, the stuff's popping. Maybe we won't be able to see movies anymore. Yeah, okay, we'll spend $30 to go see Sonic the Hedgehog. Now that we've come out the other side of it, is like, do you want to pay $400 on Cheapy Tuesdays to see a movie that's going to be in theaters for how long is Furiosa there? 6 weeks?
I mean, yeah, the no, the exorbitant pricing combined with it, it's more than just a like okay, you get your $30 ticket per person, and then you go in, and if you're getting your popcorn or whatever else, you're paying the those theater prices are always nuts, and it's just becoming more and more impractical compared to the online or rather at home cost and such. And then in addition to that too, it's like I think what you and that one of those prices always go up, of course, as a response to business going down. And I imagine you'll see a lot of smaller theaters close. I imagine you'd see like probably some art house places that would like run old things like hey we're gonna do like Cinema de Park, for example, is a place in Montreal that'll do like 2001 A Space Odyssey, come catch it
Mm.
if you've never have in a theater, or just play old movies or get old runs of stuff. But like the big mainline ones and such, like yeah, I think Inside Out 2 came out this weekend and that seems to be doing well. But there's going to be these tent poles, and those tent poles are going to get fewer and fewer, and you're probably going to see these businesses maybe have to start merging with others and doing other things to
I
stay
mean, I can
afloat.
only speak for myself on one of these things, but like if me and Paige wanted to go see a movie, now the movie experience okay, so the movie cost, what does a ticket cost? Right, I haven't even been, what does a ticket
30
cost
30
at a movie
bucks,
theater?
give or take, like if you're
$30?
I mean, over here, if you're going to, depends on which, because you can go to like an IMAX or a not IMAX, and
No, fuck it, like a regular ass movie.
probably 20. Then, if you're going to just
Okay,
the
20.
basic, you're paying
Okay,
20.
so
Yeah,
that's ridiculous, right?
yeah,
But okay, let's say 20, let's fuck it, 25, whatever, right? So that's $50 right off the bat, and plus snacks, whatever, blah 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 blah, plus babysitter.
yep.
We're now talking about like a fucking $120
That
3 hour excursion.
yeah. No. You're in a frame. You're in a window in your life where activities are just costing more because of that extra factor. It's not a permanent
But
situation.
there's activities that we don't need a babysitter because we just take the baby.
Yes, yeah. that is a temporary situation, but it is still one applies to anyone who is a new parent. Has that little modifier as well on the cost of everything.
Well, the other thing is like Furiosa's out of theaters, and it's like because it didn't do very well. And I'm like, I remember growing up and like all the way up until I was almost 30, seeing the shittiest movies ever, living on that fucking board of available films to watch for 6+ months. Just like, we're gonna make the goddamn money back.
Yeah,
we're gonna make it back.
Well, because it was kind of like DVD sales of things, where it's like, yeah, people bored will just walk in and go, "What the fuck's playing? I don't know. What is that? Let's go see that." You know, like a curiosity. And like hell, I mean, fucking back. You go way back enough before our time, where you're like, we go to the theater because they have air conditioning, right? Was the original appeal of getting in there on a hot day.
Sometimes you still go to the theater because the air conditioning when we were younger, because like the theater has the good air conditioning.
But that's the boomerest fucking reason you can go see a movie, you know? We're so far beyond that now that like, yeah, there's just, you don't feel like, hey, what are we doing today? I don't know. I got nothing. Let's go see that. You have a million things you can fucking TikTok, watch, stream, etc. Yada, yada. You can watch Lawrence of Arabia on your phone, you know? Yeah, the part of it that is the wildest in some ways for me is that just from the game perspective, arcades died off one by one. They just got shot and killed over here because it's like you're not allowed to make any new ones because they're undesirable elements in the neighborhood. But the ones that survived were as long as your arcade was inside of a theater, you could do whatever you want. And the theaters were privileged that way. So it became a real sad thing because you're like, oh man, arcade theaters suck because they always have just a bunch of busted machines that are not the games anyone really wants to play or anything. They're just, you know, a handful of random things and then an air hockey table and call it a day. But ooh, they've got the neon lights and shit. If they did get anything like a fighting game or like a rhythm game, that would be the one place you had your option to go. And now the idea that the thing that was the safe business that arcades could like the Noah's Ark
attached to
is now fucking sinking, you know, and the business that is the thing that was supposed to be the safe haven itself cannot stay afloat. It's just wild.
Like this is maybe I'm horribly extrapolating much too far beyond the scope of this conversation, but I feel like part of the issue that theaters are having is the same issue that malls are having and the same issue many daytime businesses are having, and it's a problem with the kids. So 10 years ago, we all got to enjoy, me and you were millennials, we all got to enjoy every article under the sun blaming us.
Millennials are killing the family style restaurant.
The housing market and fucking
Eastside Mario's, TGI Fridays.
The kids won't go to whatever the fuck, and it's like I can't afford it.
With what money?
With what,
idiot?
So when I was a child, right? When I was 10 years old, I could pay $1 to take the bus all the way in town, go fuck around the Angrignon Mall, watch a movie, get some food, and for the 20 that my dad gave me on like a Friday evening to leave on Saturday, to be like, get the fuck out of here, just go do kid shit, I don't care, right? Like just whatever, right? So I'd fuck off to like, and I lived off the island, so I'd take like an hour and a half bus, go to hang out at the mall, maybe see some friends, go to the movie, whatever. I'd spend the whole fucking day there, right? Or maybe I did that once a month or once every 2 weeks, right? Seeing a movie was like a minor idea. It was like, oh, well, what's the movie cost? $7. Oh, okay, whatever, $7 or whatever, right? And now that you can't loiter in the mall, unless you're buying something.
I mean,
you can't do that.
That's.
The kids can't hang out.
That hasn't changed that much. That's pretty much the same thing. They can't afford to buy anything to eat. They can't go to the goddamn movie theater. I remember when it went from 25 cents to 50 cents a token at Atlas 2000 before we hit that dollar.
How that was like
outrageous.
So you look at it as like, oh, it's twice as expensive. Like, no, it's not. because the quarters come so fast in the early thing. It's actually like 3 times more expensive because the way that your shit works out.
I mean, to be honest, like it's mainly, again, it's not just the change in like the economy and stuff. It's just habit wise, like the idea of not having anything to do, having all these dead moments of time as a kid and just filling it with random shit is super gone, right? The idea of like, yeah, going to a mall and just finding ways to dick around or whatever. Like you could go still sit at a food court for hours or whatever, and security's not going to bug you about that.
Depends where you live. Depends where you live.
It depends where you live. But
we got somebody in the chat who lives in the EU where they use sonic disruptors to attack teenagers.
But like in general, people just don't even, like, a bunch of kids don't go shopping in a particular way. You know what I mean? Again, you don't have a ton of disposable income necessarily in most cases. I just think that you're looking at a time frame as well where you're like, hey, there was a time when the nerdiest kid on the block would still be out there somewhat with riding the bikes around a bit, and
they'd be somewhere
and then
out of the house.
But then maybe they'd be at the comic shop, or like if there was an arcade or or there's somewhere else to play a game or something. And then they'd watch more games, play more watch more movies, play more games, and do more of that than the rest of the people, right? Than the rest of the kids. So
I was an introverted shut-in.
Mm-hmm.
And I rode my bike around town.
Exactly.
And went out places.
That was the case, exactly. And now the fucking jockiest jock of the group on the block in the neighborhood is scrolling TikTok and like posting and keeping up with whatever's going on, and like following UFC or whatever sport things like. It's still they're an inside online person with those activities.
Dead center in the middle of the timeline of just go outside, right?
Yeah.
I loved my video games, and so I would like pray for rainy days, because on rainy days mom and dad wouldn't give me any guff for staying in to play Genesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it was a nice day, I'd go ride my bike or go fucking, I don't know, do some bullshit, do some stupid child bullshit, right? But the thing that drove me completely nuts, it made me go crazy, which is it'd be a nice day and I'd be chilling around the house. My mom would go, why don't you go out and play baseball on like a random Saturday afternoon?
Yeah.
I go, what?
With who's doing what?
Like, who?
Yeah.
It's like, go down to the park and play baseball with the kids there. I'm like, Mom, there's no kids.
It's not
what the fuck are you talking about? What are you? Right? So we got to see that, right? That era of like our parents were just like, just go outside. There's just tons of people outside. To which we respond with, no, there's not.
Yeah.
And now we get to see the next generation be told by people our age. Like, I know other parents and friends who like, I don't understand why the kids on their phone all the time. I tell them to go outside, and I go, well, where are they supposed to go? They go, I don't know, away. Like there's, and here's my favorite part. Here's my favorite part, right? The kids always on their phone. And I'm like, okay, well, what else do they have to do? It's like, well, they're not allowed to go here, and they're not allowed to go here, and they can't go too far from the house, and they can't go here. And I don't know about that friend's house because I don't know about those parents. And they start listing the fucking things, and you're like, you want your kid to go just play with dirt in your own backyard?
I mean, look. Being extroverted now means being at home popping off on Warzone, Call of Duty,
or Valorant,
and being introverted means being at home popping off on FF14. That's the difference now.
Actually, both of those types of people can play FF14.
Sure, but you get the spirit of what I'm saying. Like that's the world now. It's the same shit. So anyway,
I spoke to a fellow adult with a child who was angry at their son, who is in high school, for crossing the street to go to the convenience store without permission because he could have gotten hit by a car. And I was like, And in my brain, I'm like, that kid's gonna start doing drugs tomorrow.
That's fucked. That is not a good place to start. Anyway, all this to say, That Furiosa is fucking. It was really good, man. I
Was
really
it
enjoyed it.
worth seeing in a movie theater?
Definitely, and I'd say the reason why, similar to Dune, where it's a very visual spectacle. It's a masterpiece of just like, yes, the the taking in the full breadth of a shot. A lot like both of those movies are the type of movies you want to see in the theater, because like you're getting a ton of like vast desert exterior, you know what I mean, like moments where the characters on screen are like a 5% of the frame, and you just take it all in. It works great in the theater. So Furiosa in particular, I will say, is like, okay, you're going into this and everybody knows it's like, look, Mad Max Fury Road is literally, it's just one of the goats. It's one of the all-time great films. It's like that is going to be on any list of the best movies ever made going forward.
It's great.
Unbelievable. It's fan fucking, I can't, anyway, So
I know.
coming into this, right, it's like, okay, are you going to get Fury Road 2? No, not necessarily. But you are getting that same setting. You're getting the same flavor and all of that applied to, well, it's called a Mad Max saga, and it's applied to, yeah, a saga, like a longer story. The brevity of Fury Road is really what helps a lot of it work so well, is because it's like it's a single road war over the course of a couple days, and this is following the entire origin story of this character, so it has to stay in this world over time. That's going to come with like some more vulnerabilities, and it's going to come with things that it has to take chances on, that are, a little more risky, but like it changes the pacing from a fucking tight solid unit to things that'll lull and then pick back up, right? So it is not better or equal to Fury Road at all.
I have to say, this is technically related, though it's more of an annoyance with the world at large. I got spoiled on a detail of this movie.
Probably doesn't matter, but yeah.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the manner in which I did was so annoying that I feel like I have to bring it up. So sometimes I'll be scrolling through whatever, and like the meme of the year or whatever will show up, and like, oh, is that FS? Oh, not interested. Don't show me that.
Yeah, this happens to you enough, and to me like that. This has been happening to you a bunch. Every time I brought up a movie recently, you've had these moments, and I'm just like, I aggressively go dark until I can get a chance.
I have been. Well, I don't intend to go dark every day of my life.
Yeah.
Which I would have to do.
Sure.
So, but I've been getting better about like nipping it in the bud by using the not interested thing. But what came up was one of the actors' TikTok accounts, the big bald guy, the very large, gigantic bald man, who's the son of Morton Joe.
Yeah, Rictus Erectus.
Yeah. Speaking as an actor, going, hey guys, I just want to let you know that movies are not real. You can stop yelling at me in my inbox for the actions of my character, please.
That's sure. What?
And I'm like, oh, really? This okay.
I don't even fully know what that means, though. So I would say you're probably still clear on whatever spoiler you think you heard. Because I'm like, yeah, no, that's fairly minor in any case. Like they're there and stuff, but that's not in any way impacting what I took away or what was happening there. So no, that's nothing. That's a big old.
Oh,
nothing.
no. Again, not the content. The medium is the annoyance.
Right. Okay. Via, yes. Admittedly, swiping up and getting algorithmed into a TikTok about something that you want to see is like definitely a shitty way to get exposed to things.
The Joffrey kid, the Skylar White lady, the queen in the Game of Thrones.
Cersei.
It's not. It's make believe, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
It's a fucking TV show.
I mean, to be fair, fucking to Joffrey, like he was so good in that role that like even people who are like, I know you were just acting, but oh, like it's one of those things of like you couldn't cast it any more perfect. Um, he's one of the best casting choices of like the last fucking decade easily, and to the point where he's like, yeah, I think I'm done. He's came from the theater, and then he's like, I think I'm out of acting. I'm good. You know, it's like, yeah, I get it. Leave on a high
Hmm.
note. Like you did such a good job making everyone hate you by being the quintessential shit kid. I don't know that there's any reinventing, changing up the image or not getting typecast, you know, for a long time. So, anyway, incredible. So yeah, Furiosa is it's just yeah, it's going back to tell the story of Furiosa. And so I didn't see Queen's Gambit, so I wasn't too familiar with Anna Taylor Joy, but like
Hmm.
seeing obviously that you'd have to go get a young uh, um, a younger version of her and kind of follow her through the ages and stuff. It's interesting because she has such a distinct face, compared to Charlize Theron's like
So
Furiosa, that you really look like a different person.
I
Um,
okay, so like I've seen some bits and pieces of Anna Taylor Joy in various stuff, and she seems rock solid.
mhm.
But in terms of playing a younger version of a different actress, yeah, no, she is unmistakably Anna Taylor Joy.
Yes, so there you do
Like, there's no, you're
exactly.
not going to squish those eyes closer to your nose in the flashback.
Yeah, you're not pretending this person like turns into that. It's like, okay, this is just a different version of that character with a
Yeah, I
very
do get to the
distinctly
Cloud
different
District
look.
often. Thank you.
Um, but yeah, but she does a great job with it. And I think first hearing about this movie as well, I was like, uh-oh, is this the Crimes of Grimwald? Is this the spin-off thing that no one asked for that is just keeping the
Is that
franchise?
name fucking shit?
That's one of them, isn't it?
Is
I'm
it?
I'm pretty sure that's one of them. The Crimes of Grimwald.
Okay. So I want to let you know, you said Grimwald, and that's pretty close. And I somehow misheard you and typed in Grindelwald, which is also wrong.
Great, great, right.
The Crimes of
Of
Grindelwald. Wow, that
Grindelfuck,
just rolls right off the tongue.
Grindelfuck. Like what? Like just the franchise needs to have a spin-off sequel to keep the IP relevant and keep it making money, and maybe we can spin off from the spin-off and keep that going as a brand new
Saw a
thing.
lot of I saw some talk about how the Grindel shit or whatever is actually a repurposed Doctor Who movie idea.
Oh wow,
And
no
that's why
kidding.
it is so tonally dissonant
Hmm.
from all that stupid Harry Potter shit.
Interesting. Um, well, I mean, either way, I was kind of like hoping that that's not what we were looking at here. And fortunate, and especially because that like every time something comes out and it's the product of an entire lifetime of someone's been building up their story. They've been drawing under Trapper Keeper in high school, and then they eventually deliver this incredible thing. And then
And
you
this whole time they're just like, man, I hope Kojima writes a movie review about my movie.
yeah, and doesn't just write like I saw the movie, I saw Furiosa, and that's it. I saw Madam Web,
Yeah.
Furiosa. Wow, what a great movie!
Just pages and pages of tweets about Furiosa.
Mhm. But yeah, so Fury Road took like 20 years in the making with not just George Miller and like the plans and stuff, but like Brendan McCarthy, the Judge Dredd artist that was working on Reboot, who made the Bad Bob episode, which is a send up to Mad Max, and then used that to inspire what Fury Road was doing. So there's a link between fucking Reboot and Mad Max. It's crazy. All of that ended up being a large long tale as to how this movie came out and why it was so good and how much work went into it in advance. And now here you have the spin-off that's coming out and you're like, okay, it have had as much work and stuff put into it? And it's like, well, it turns out that it wasn't just a spin-off out of nowhere to like keep this thing going. When they were making when they were making Fury Road, they went into
Mhm.
so much detail on every character that they wrote all of Furiosa's backstory alongside everyone
Oh, so it was
else's
all just right
backstory,
there.
and it was all right there. And then they went,
Okay.
"Yo, we can just this would make it for a great film," and so they just decided to do that. There's a book called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome that talks about the making of like all the Fury Road and everything in that. So this was a story that was already there, ready to go. Incredible. So in that, yeah, you just get what is not it is not Fury Road, but it's still a very fucking awesome look into the world, into stuff that is hinted at in Fury Road, and there's moments in this where you well, okay, for one thing, just I'll just say on terms of like sound and visual effects and everything like that, just of course, fucking incredible. It's delivering on that in the same very
Mhm.
impressive way. There's the whole thing about Fury Road where they're like they have a ton of love for practical effects, and it's still they're like I thought there's a rumor that like oh there's no special effects anywhere in it. It turned out that
Oh
that
no, there absolutely
yeah, it
is.
turns out that's not true because basically because in an interview Miller said, "Oh, 90% of what you see is based on practical effects," and so that got people.
Yeah, because there's a practical effect underneath, and then they
But
juice it a little bit.
yes, exactly, some 2,000 of 2,400 shots, I believe, right? So in this case, similarly, there's a lot of that going on, but with all that said, there's still a lot of love for like real giant rigs, real practical effects where they can, vehicles and real props everywhere. And
Mhm.
it's awesome to just see like when they're like, okay, we can shoot this entire sequence with a truck and some stunt riders all coordinating in a really tight way and some flamethrowers and get a rad scene. And you're just like, all right, color grade that, change the sky, make shit more orange,
Mhm.
go, you know? There's a really fucking cool moment where um a character is standing on a cliffside, and in the distance, in the background, there is a truck driving down the road, and a bunch of like bikers are like assaulting the truck and trying to
Mhm.
hijack it. And like from one side of the frame to the other, the camera just pans as the character's looking, and it all takes place in about a minute. But you see the fight unfold in the
Just from
distance.
really far away.
You see all the things happen, the shots, the bikers doing all the things as if and you're just watching it from the distance, from the bleachers, and then as it pulls up to the far left side of the frame, the truck comes to a stop, and you're like, whoa, that's just a bunch of actors, stunts, and real props doing their thing. I love those moments, and you get a lot of that here, where you're like, this is enhanced, but the this team involved did an incredible job with yeah, costuming and all that great shit that you remember from from Fury Road.
So, I just watched the trailer just now. Well, just a little bit of the trailer, and I have to ask. I saw in the trailer that Furiosa starts that movie with 10 fingers
Mm-hmm.
and 2 arms.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a fairly rare detail that you see in prequel stuff. But how much of the movie are you sitting there going like, is this going to be the part where the
Oh,
fucking arm gets chopped off?
are they like, dude? Did she walk by a bunch of buzz saws and go like, whoa, that was close? Or like a car wheel just like slams down to the left. And it's
Oh,
like,
thank God that didn't
oh,
land on my
Jesus,
arm.
whew. Oh man, yeah, that's incredible. But no, I mean, to be perfectly honest, like they spend so much time going through her life and like the arc of things, you don't even get really an Anna Taylor Joy until like an hour in.
Oh, okay.
So trust, there's a lot to cover, and
Hey,
they
is the movie long?
yeah, it's
Uh,
two and a half, two and a
is
bit.
that long?
I mean,
Because when I think of long, I think of the time that I snuck in to see Inglorious Bastards and what like a horrible mistake that was.
yeah, okay, so to me, I could sit and do a 4-hour movie and fucking handle it, but I've come to understand that for most folks, 2.5 is like, oh, okay, that's a really long movie,
So I'm
90
torn.
minutes being the other end of the spectrum.
I'm really torn over a film being 2.5 hours long being long because the first episode of a miniseries on Netflix is like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's an episode. And it's like, that is damn near, like, I've seen movies that were like an hour and 15 minutes long.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, if I see 3, we're getting into what I would consider long territory. But anyway, yeah, this is, and the thing is too, is don't forget that we're on a sliding scale. What used to not necessarily be long becomes longer as your audience gets more and more like, what's happening on my phone? Shit, I want to check the latest. Did I get an update? Like the TikTok braining is making folks a little more antsy, you know?
I want to clarify something. I fucking love Inglourious Bastards. When I say sneaking in to see it was a horrible mistake, that's because I had just finished watching a different 3-hour movie and then just walked across and just walked into Inglourious Bastards, not knowing that it was 3 hours and 40 fucking minutes long.
Okay, that's a lot. That is a lot.
That was a huge mistake.
But nonetheless,
you can just do that. Yeah, if you're willing to commit crimes, guys. It's theft.
Nonetheless, I would say that a movie that perhaps didn't feel that long as a kid might feel longer now as attention spans have gotten shorter globally, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, 2.5 is considered long. All that being said, based on what I said there, you can imagine that they take their time setting things up and doing a really good job of doing so. There's moments where, again, you feel like there's pacing moments that feel like you kind of like, oh, that's a little stilted. Why'd that happen? And you get a little confused about that. And you don't get that in Fury Road, right? So there are those moments. But what I will say that like is fucking awesome is like, also, like, and you have Chris Hemsworth, Dementis, who's like yucking it up as a character in that, and he's charismatic as a goofball, but he's no Immortan Joe, certainly.
No.
And don't go in expecting something of similar ilk, because he's not. He's full of charisma, but not the same kind at all. You know, hams it up. The things that feel like they're kind of these moments that like are a little stilted or so, though, when it all comes together, there's a really awesome, like, there's a lot of stuff the movie's doing that is meant to, like, for example, homage the Odyssey, right? That's a huge piece of what's happening. So things about where the characters go, like the journey she goes on, right? Where there's literally chariots, there's a Trojan horse moment, and of course you know about like the fate of the place she came from based on Fury Road, you know. So like all of that is very clear that they're trying to make this like an odyssey for this character, and by following those beats things make sense, right? She also has these great moments of like making decisions that are like, that's a stupid decision, why would you do that? That seems like something that someone who is not very good at survival in this land would do. And it's like, no, but these are the same decisions that are consistent with her character in Fury Road. And the things that you look at that go like, oh, that would be a dumb thing to do, would be like, yeah, but she's made these kind of impulsive decisions, you know, in the first movie you saw, and it kind of explains a bit of how she is the way she is, right? So there's a little bit of that you got to stretch your brain out to do, like, oh, okay, right, let's connect these pieces together to flesh out who this character is and why. There is an awesome subtext as well to things going on here that is like, you know, this is an apocalyptic setting, and post-apocalyptic is of course the descriptor here, but really interesting things they do in this movie is like there's an undercurrent like that is kind of set where the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are actually represented in characters in the movie.
Cool.
Right? Immortan Joe is fucking pestilence. Look at his diseased fucking ass.
He's gross, bro.
Right? You have a people eater that is famine. You have a bullet farmer that is war, you know? And so like with all that being set up, there's a through line with her story that is like, okay, and like, who is the role of death? What does that mean? And that is something that's so like, it's interesting because like it passes on for its roles helm to helm in the movie, sometimes literally. And again, when you're kind of following through the metaphors that it's setting up, you're like, okay, now I understand why these moments of like again stilted pacing are like
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to heavily make the metaphor travel and land where it's supposed to, you know. So there, I'm like, I can understand, and I think that's awesome because you're going for something better here. You're like you're trying to deliver a story that has, you know, some meat on the bones, you know, underneath the flavoring and the surface. So yeah, that is all just really really good stuff, and you know, without getting into any spoilers or anything, it's also a great revisit to that setting, to the you know, the characters and the motivations and the fucking Joe's there, and you get to the Citadel and you see you get to see your bullet farm, you get to see
Mm-hmm.
your gas town, you know, and all of
Oh, I
those.
really wanted to see the bullet farm. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and you get to see, of course, you know, where the Vuvulani come from, and why all their why they're so good at what they're good at. And everything just really complements Fury Road excellently. So, go catch that, and then, um, yeah, there's and like yeah, there's more fun subtext discussion in this, and they do things in a really interesting way. But you have a character that is a Max like that you see in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this very serious, all about his business type of dude, and he's a fucking awesome character as well. That is, you know, like you get your Mad Max stand-in, and you're like, okay, who's this fucking dude gonna be? And like, he does a pretty good job just being what he is. While it's like, this is not Max, but that energy, you can
I'm
feel
a
it.
different guy that
You
is.
know,
I'm fulfilling the role.
yeah, he's doing the job. So anyway, go catch Furiosa however you can. If the theater run is done and there's no way to do this justice, like, it's absolutely worth seeing, and yeah, it's an incredible addition to Fury Road while not being at all better than, or, you know, supplanting in any way. Just going with the expectations there.